Hello, everybody. Hello. I'm so pleased to see many faces I know. And we spoke in small windows in front of our computers, and now we meet in person. This event is excellent for that. And also, this panel is truly Baltic. It's organized together with European Innovation Council national contact points. So I want to thank my colleagues who put ideas together and efforts to make it happen. Daria from Estonia, from Estonian Research Council, she's also here. Maria from Latvian Science Council is here. And Jovita, who is following online, I'm sure, from Lithuania. And now I would like to invite my fellow panelists. Please take the seat. And Angelina Bekassova from Ministry of Economic Affairs, Gijsbert Wiering from DG DIFIS from the Commission, Stefan Oki from ESMEA Agency and European Innovation Council. Please. And one seat is for me, but there's also one empty seat. And that's on purpose, to have a little moment of thought, because we have discussed among our colleagues and agreed on one Baltic startup who will be a showcase, let's say, and through eyes of this startup, we will look at these instruments on the stage. Because it's always easier to understand very complex structures, the governmental programs and grant calls through the eyes of actual persons targeted to that. And who would that be? Many of you could be. And such startup has 4 basic criteria. One, it's science-based. So it takes one or many scientists to actually develop that technology to the market. Secondly, it has IP or has potential for IP. The third criteria is really that it has a different path, difficult path, not straightforward path to the market. And the fourth, once it's on a market, it will totally disrupt the market. So that's a definition of deep tech. And we have such startup today in a room, maybe not the usual ones that maybe immediately comes to your mind, but definitely brilliant. So drums, drum sounds in our ears. And I would like to welcome on the stage Sandtech, Sandris Moriņš, please.
Yeah.
And Sandris will give us a 5-minute pitch about Sandris technology, after which, and maybe we have a clicker, and after which each instrument will give kind of reverse pitch, what each of the instruments could mean for this technology to come to the market. So let's make it very dynamic and interesting. So Sandris, the floor is yours.
So thank you very much for this introduction and for inviting me. It was a big pleasure for me, and I'm very thrilled. So everything starts many years ago with a very simple idea. And the idea is that you go, for example, in the forest, you find something interesting smell, you capture it, go home and show to your family members, friends, and etc. And this was the beginning, and we started at summer 2020, at the first COVID year. And now it gradually evolves. So it's not anymore me, but it's we. So it's scientists from Latvia, scientists from Norway, scientists from America, and from Germany, Slovenia. So we shared one common vision, and this vision is that we would like a world where any valuable smell or scent could be recorded, stored, and shared to others, and not only to our generations, but to the generations which will come. So basically, that there will be time when we will be able to record smell information or scent information the similarly as we can record visual information or sound. And this is just what we promote. It's ideas that we need, like there is a photography, then there is a new field. It's called aromography. This is my first, the picture is from my first scent recording expedition in Brazil. So I recorded, I tried to record scent of one very popular festival, religious festival in Salvador. It's called Bonfim. And what it's all about, so basically it's like photography, right? You take a site, but the aromography is about capturing, storing, and releasing scent molecules or scents to create, like whether mono experiences just to share the smell or scent to others, or to mix it with other media, with like pictures or audio. So, and why it's needed? It's just for my all use case from, these are pictures and recordings from my first scent recording expedition. One first, of course, simple use case is that the scent has like hedonic value itself. It has a pleasure itself, right? We are going into perfume shops and buy smells or scents or perfumes or aromas because it just gives a pleasure. The same thing is there, and I tried to record some smell of in the Amazon. There was some exotic fruit which has very brilliant smell. So when I would like to record and to pass to my colleagues. Second use case is that smells and scents and aromas, they can add some significant information. This is a picture of one of the most beautiful churches in Brazil. It's in Brasilia, it's the capital of Brazil. So basically it's very beautiful, but when you come closer, you feel, you smell the scent of disgust, urine, and etc. And it gives completely different picture, right? Or completely different feeling. So the picture and smell is different when you only see the picture, right? So it gives completely different information to you. The next use case, what I can say for myself, this is from São Paulo. São Paulo is very big concrete and asphalt. And I just came into one neighborhood, and this neighborhood has very specific, very beautiful smell of night jasmine. And it just uplifting me. So basically, I give this emotional uplift. And if you will look on how smells works, so basically smells work in a way that they connect our emotions. So this basically I can add emotional layer to my visual recording. And the last, maybe, which is this is a picture from UNESCO Heritage. It's Heritage. It's festival of Salvador. There's many people are coming, and this is very scent-based. There is many scents specifically created for that. And by recording that, you record some kind of triggers to memories. So, and this is because I think a lot of us just notice that there are smells which somehow triggers our memories, individuals, but there are smells which could trigger collective memories as well. And this was one of that memories of the festival Gemenia. So around 75% of this, we made surveys, they experienced scents they would like to record, and most of them, there are three categories of scent. The first most popular is cooking, smell of cooking, mostly grandma's cooking, etc. Second is nature, herbs, flowers, etc. And third is the humans. So, and maybe I will show some stories which, because we just started and nothing selling, we are in developing process of technology, but there are somebody who found us accidentally. And the first thing, what was just found us, one artist, she wanted us to record her dying dog, right? So because it was very sentimental memories, she came to us, can you do that? Can you provide us some tool? Second, there is in Las Vegas, there is a huge sphere. It's like 3D or 4D like experience provider. And they come to us and they said, okay, we need to make a program for Middle East, and there are different smells and spices. Can you give us some device so we can go record smells and go to the perfume designer and he could recreate. And the last one is from United States, so medical communication agency which wants to do a lot of awards. They come to us and say, this year we want to try to make some campaign, social research for people who has dementia, no Alzheimer's, they may think, okay, maybe if you record smells, that they could somehow recall memories. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think we all agree that this is quite groundbreaking, right? In the existing market, it has a great potential. Now I would like to invite the other panelists to give sort of reverse short pitch or reaction to this. Which of the parts of the instruments that you have in hands, or you work with on an everyday basis, to highlight for Sandris? So maybe Angelina wants to begin.
So first of all, Sandris, thank you very much for your innovation. I'm very sensitive to smell, so I actually saw information about your company in the internet. So this is real high tech for me, deep tech. So thank you for doing this. Indeed, the ministry supports deep tech startups through different approaches. So the first support, why we need support, because we need something to offer to the international world, right? So to help our wings grow and legs be more, legs be stronger. Also, what's important to develop credibility for foreign direct investment, as well as to attract European funding and also international funding here. International cooperation also super important because, well, I think it's quite resourceful to go abroad and to meet your partners, so the government helps you here too. The industry was screaming for the necessity to develop a support mechanism to help you write these endless proposals for international money, for EU money. So at the end of this year, so in the fourth quarter of this year, you're going to have grants that will help fund consultants that are going to help you write good proposals so that it's more efficient. But that's not all. Soon we're going to have a program for digital transformation. I'm sure you're using some digital tools. Maybe you'll benefit from AI. So this is very, very important for the government. And in the also last quarter of the year, you're going to have access to grants to, for example, procure software or to introduce AI in your activities. Then competence centers. There you have to cooperate with universities. You have to provide your co-funding, but still quite popular instrument in Latvia to develop your innovation even further, going up the TRL levels. Then skills development support, SME support program, technology transfer program, so that you also receive help to attract highly qualified people for your business, or to indulge into export promotion activities, incubation and motivation program. Most often you will need co-funding for this, but that's the system and that's the position of the government, how it works. But for sure, this is something that our ministry, our management would be keen to support.
Thank you, Angeline. And now, Gijs, what is your reaction?
Well, thank you very much for the really fascinating presentation. I really like the topic. I come from a defense angle, and with defense we often think about weapon systems and conflict, but it's actually also more than this. We're also looking at how can we deal with stressful situations, how can we learn faster, more effectively, manage our cognitive load, how can we deal with trauma, how can we clean up things? So this might be cleaning up a battlefield, but it might also be helping to support recovery. So I think this could be a very, very interesting area. You're also dealing with data structures, with human-machine interaction. So I think this could be a very interesting topic that could fit in part of our portfolio. I think this is what the European Defence Fund needs. You're also a small organization, an SME. We're trying to support this. We get more and more funding or more applications from SMEs. And I believe what you need is scale, network, and more seed funding. So I think that would be a good match. For example, under our European Defence Innovation Scheme, where we have several sub-schemes, if you will, where you already created IP research, prototyping, we can help you raise more money and scale up. For example, using our spin-in calls, which is a dedicated call under EUDIS, the European Defence Industry Innovation Scheme, where we try to integrate civil technology into defense applications. And this can also go in the other direction. And of course, this is funding and an active call that we have opened. And it will also give you an opportunity to interact with a larger and perhaps different environment of SMEs and funding bodies that you might not have experienced before. So it's also an opening up to a new market, if you will. Practically, we also have a business accelerator where you can receive coaching in this specific defense-related environment with a seed funding at the end of 65,000 euros. The coaching is free. You can also look at raising equity funding. So what I just talked about is grants, where we have up to 100% funding for SMEs. For other funding, we can also support venture capital through equity funding, which will be also with the Defense Equity Facility, which I think our colleague will touch upon later as well. Yeah, and I believe with this you can build something really, really original and integrate with a different environment and learn from each other there and try to support a vibrant and innovative environment. So I would look forward to be in touch with you about this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. A long list, which is very useful also to follow up afterwards, Google about it, and so on. Now, Stefan, you are representing the European Innovation Council, which is very generous, but also very, very competitive, especially for SMEs in the European Innovation Council Accelerator. However, what is your advice to Sandris?
Yes, no, very interesting technology indeed. So at the European Innovation Council, we try to support deep tech innovations that are either creating new markets or disruptive existing ones. So in your case, you are clearly creating a new market. I think until we talked yesterday, I mean, I had really no idea about this development. So this is really interesting. So how can we possibly help you? We have a number of funding instruments that are available, whether you are more early stage in your research, Pathfinder from TRL 1 to 3, from the moment of the idea all the way to the proof of concept. Then we have transition that covers from the proof of concept to commercialization, so help you to create a company and start the scale-up process. And then, of course, the accelerator, where we provide you grant and equity, grant up to 2.5 million, equity up to 10 million directly into your company in order to facilitate your scale-up. And we accompany all that with a range of services in order to help you find customers, to partner up with investors, and so on. So it allows you to much more quickly scale up. But the novelty that we have just introduced, actually the work program was published today, is that we will open a call on the 12th of June, a pre-accelerator that is reserved for countries of what we call the widening, so on countries of East Central Europe, basically, which will be giving you a bit less than the accelerator, so 300K to 500K per application. You can apply, as you can see now, until the 18th of November of this year, and we foresee about 50 projects coming up. So it's basically the same as the accelerator. If you have a deep tech technology that needs to start the process of scaling up, to create new markets or disrupt existing one, you can come and apply. We will deploy exactly the same type of services behind you. And here the TRL level will be 4 to 6. So I think in terms of what you explained, the partnerships you have with universities now, probably that option may look quite attractive also because of the restricted eligibility, which will make it much less challenging and much less competitive, as the accelerator, as Igita correctly mentioned, is indeed a very competitive instrument. And of course, this can be combined with the national support that was explained by Angelina just a few minutes ago, because of course, in order to manage to apply, using the tools that exist at national level will be very helpful for you in order to be able to train and prepare appropriately in order to meet the competition that you will face in such a call.
Great. Thank you. That was a bit maybe unusual way without many slides about different instruments here. And now I'd like to keep the discussion further, maybe digging a bit deeper with what's happening on European and also national level with public funding and how it works together with private and how we push innovations to not only to be born in Europe, but also to start up and scale up and keep staying in Europe. So let's continue with discussion. Now, Stefan, what would you say, looking now on EIC Accelerator, but maybe also other programs, would be, let's say, 3 main ingredients of what it takes to win? If you look at the winner, and what is so special and separate them from the losers of those calls?
Well, I would say it's very important that you're very convincing and passionate about the technology you're developing. And indeed, you're developing a technology, like I said, that is deep tech, but also has the capacity to create entirely new markets, or at least disrupt existing markets, and that you can passionately and convincingly explain why that technology will make that change. I think it starts really from the tech. Otherwise, if the tech is not there, I think it's going to be very difficult to pass, to go to the next stage. I think then what the evaluators are looking for in this type of calls is they want to see that the team is solid together and has all the right ingredients, the right competencies and skills in order to bring that technology to the market successfully and face all the challenges that typically a startup will face, which are multiple. You know many of them, and I can tell you there are many more that you don't even know or think about right now that will come your way as you develop your technology. And therefore, it's absolutely essential that the team is cohesive and that you have the entire set of skills that are there. And then the third ingredient, which is how these two, the technology and the team, relate towards the external world. In other words, how have you been able to approach the world of investment, the world that we are a good representative here of public funding that is being offered, and whether you have managed to get traction with those instruments. Because of course this is, if other people, in particular when they put their own skin in the game in a company, have been already looking at your company and they have concluded that indeed they are ready to put some money in it. So in other words, you have already been able to conclude a round, pre-seed, seed, and so on. Then this, of course, becomes a very powerful offer, very convincing offer that usually carries the day with the evaluators, because then they see not only that the technology is there with the possibility of doing something really new, the team is cohesive and has all the skills and competencies in order to develop the technology. And then when you have been able to explain this to external actors that know nothing about your technology and don't know you personally, you have managed to convince some of them to put their money already in your technology, in your startup. And of course, the mix of the three is really what we are looking at the level of the accelerator to see if you can check these three aspects are really quite decisive.
All right, so that's how you get 2.5 million in grants and up to 10 million in investment in EIC program when you succeed. Now, Heisberg, your program that you work now for, European Defence Fund, has been actually quite well received in Latvian community. Actually, in the latest call, we should be very proud of Latvian strong competitors, where out of 62 approved projects, correct me if I'm wrong, 8 of them have Latvian partners, and which is every 7th project has Latvian partner in it. It's a great achievement, I think, where 2 of them are Latvia coordinated as well. So it sounds like we have something to offer for European Defence Fund. But my question will be of variety of companies who could benefit from your instrument. Could you maybe give some example of civil use technology or product that actually fitted very well in EDF program and won the grant?
Yes, we have a lot of projects where the application is dual use, and until very recently, this was not accepted in many programs, and also many institutes and organizations did not want to approach dual use as such. So you see a lot of organizations exploring this more, and also from our side, I think there's a lot of interesting crossovers in many areas. So this might be, say, the hard tech, so AI and satellites, etc., but also in areas that we just saw a moment ago. And one project that I find personally also very interesting is called ABITS, which is about training and understanding cognitive load and well-being of, in this case, it's a soldier in a simulation. Think a flight simulator, but for a soldier. And where you try to stress such a person under different, in that case, conflict conditions, and understand and improve the cognitive load for faster learning. But this can, of course, be applied to many other areas as well. There you have eye tracking, you have brain scans, looking at sweat, for example. And all these factors come together to better understand the status or the well-being of such a person, and whether it fits with what your objective is. And this might be learning, cognitive load, but it might also be recovery. Memories are a very important component of learning and of processing trauma. So I think this would be one example. Another example is where, for example, look at the recovery of energy just by moving around, which is a project that got awarded in the latest call, where you have an integrated energy system, where you have a lot of civilian technology that is applied to this military context.
Thank you. So really big range that could test their abilities in defense applications, and also even be like very in wide understanding of the sense, dual use. Very great. Thank you, Angelina. Now, as it is a Baltic panel, I have to mention some great examples of how Estonians and Latvians are supporting deep techs. For example, Lithuania is boosting its participation in Horizon Europe program by allocating additional 12.5 million to support top-rated national projects under EIC Accelerator. Then Estonia is providing 8 million euros. You know, it's about numbers, right? That sounds really lovely and great. Our neighbors are having this focus and allocating. So Estonia, 8 million euros per year, grants for the companies that didn't receive EIC Accelerator grants, but received Seal of Excellence. What is Latvian approach to that?
I really regret that I didn't know that you're going to talk in full sums so that we can brag about our millions put for one program. But I guess more important is how much one business could get for such a support. So if we talk about support and participation in IEC funds and also in other support mechanisms, so these are grants of up to 10,000 euros, 50% will be co-funding, but still 50% discount and 10,000 euros. So something is moving in that direction. Also, there are indirect support programs to help you find partners to, so it's not just a story of writing an application, right? So it's the story of thinking of an idea and finding the good partners to work with. So of course, Latvia works on it a lot. Maybe something is faster than the neighbors have, something is slower, because it's not that you just tick a box and you have a new support mechanism. It requires a lot of work, not only on the ministry side, but on the whole government side, to create an instrument which will reduce the chances for mistakes on the side of the government. So it takes time, but for sure we're not ignoring that too.
Yes, indeed, indeed. In this forum, in the corridor, I've been speaking with quite a few deep techs in Latvia who really appreciate the efforts and understanding of the ministry lately with changing some regulations that will give possibility for deep techs to receive maybe larger sums of funding and really relevant to developing their products further in international markets. So thank you, Angelina. Now I will turn to Sandris and your journey with public funding. What is your most impactful funding that you want to highlight that made your product or your idea move
the most
further?
I think it was the first one. So actually it was the innovation voucher. I got the innovation voucher from Latvian investment agency, from your agency. So because before that it was a lot of question marks, whether it's possible or not. So we got the voucher. So in 2 universities, Riga Technical University and Latvian University made the first prototype. So and during that, so it worked out. So from that point, I start believing in that it's possible like 10 times more.
Okay, so the first was the most impactful so far.
Yes, because if that would fail, or I wouldn't have any opportunity to that, then I think the story would whether end very soon, or it will not, or it won't be any continuation, right? That was the most important one.
Okay, great. Thanks. And now we wanted also to touch upon maybe a bit complex question, but you're very good experts in the room, so I have to use your. We would like to pick your brains on this. So Baltic countries consistently rank high in digitalization and in startup agility. Yet, they are still underperforming in deep tech scale-ups and securing major EU funding. Also, EU accelerator calls, we don't see that many Baltic deep tech startups really making to these very few lucky ones who get the funding. What is your view on that? What could we do better or different also from the public support, but maybe from the ecosystem support or the startups themselves? Stefan, maybe.
Well, I mean, it's kind of a complex question, but I think in order to be successful, you need to have a number of ingredients that should be there, and the combination of these ingredients make the success more likely. It doesn't make the success certain, but it makes it more likely. And we already touched upon, I think you need a combination of national support at the beginning. So what you do with your agency and the measures that have been explained have to be designed and targeted to really go to the most promising of the startups that are really operating vis-à-vis the programs and are the most relevant to the programs. And of course, with the help of this type of support, the preparation, the training, the ability to also hire the type of support and expertise that is very competent in helping you to apply will be facilitated. And then you need to have, so that's the first ingredient, the capacity to have this mechanism, this support mechanism, and that they are accessible and targeted to the actual right type of companies. A second element is the capacity to have a feedback loop between those who have succeeded and those who want to experience the same thing and apply. And I think that's feedback loop. I mean, you create it through events like this, but you create it, of course, that the more the ecosystem is capable of echoing the success stories, the more you have direct access to those who have been successful, and therefore you learn from their mistake, the do's and don'ts of how to apply to this type of funding. And then finally, I think there's an element of top-down intervention from the public authorities, because I see from across Europe, the countries that have been the most successful, they have been very good at developing centrally a top-down mechanism by which they filter out the ecosystem and they pick those that they believe are the most likely to be successful because of the design of the program, and therefore those who correspond the best to it. And then they concentrate resources, training, and other type of support towards those in particular. So a kind of a limited set, if you wish, that then they push forward and on which they provide, I would say, increased support. And I think the combination of the three is probably going to put a lot more potential candidates to be selected. Now, that being said, I think you should not necessarily think that the Baltic countries are not performing very well. I think you have a great potential. You have a very good ecosystem across the three Baltic states, and that ecosystem is developing very nicely. So we see a lot of opportunities in the deep tech area in the Baltic countries, which explains why I'm here. We hope that many of you, if you have such startups, you'll come and apply to European programs. But I think what I mentioned about these three elements, if they are made available a bit more systematically, would probably enhance your success rate and will facilitate the journey of your startups towards this type of European support programs.
Okay, so organized support, very targeted support, and yeah, strong ecosystem. Thank you. Gijsbert, what is your comment on that? What Baltic ecosystem could do better?
Well, I agree with many of the points Stefan mentioned. It's not so much about capability, but more about capacity and scale, if you will. So I think there's a lot of really excellent, deep technical knowledge, know-how, and some great projects. And I think what we could do better, maybe from Baltic states, but also from a European level, is to integrate these efforts and bring them together in a single ecosystem. You have a larger market and also a larger knowledge market, if you will. So I think there we can leverage several of the European programs to do this.
Yes, very well. And then I would like to turn to the last question to all the speakers. Oh, Angelina, you wanted to comment on this, what Baltic
Yes.
could do better. Okay, please.
Because this is very important for me. So several aspects that we see here. First of all, I'm not going to start saying that we lack these ideas. No, we have wonderful ideas that could be very successful at the international level. But I witnessed myself, so we organized, for example, a workshop, the aim of which was to just sit with Glühwein and think about potential ideas how to use satellite data to start well in Horizon Europe. And by walking between tables, I heard quite many times amazing ideas, but then followed with a comment like, no, someone else has created this somewhere in Western Europe for sure. But no, I used to work in Western Europe, and I know that that's where the ideas that European Commission was looking for, and no one applies for it. So we sometimes don't trust ourselves too much. Then, usually for these instruments, you need co-funding. This is a problem because this is risks, and you have to get this private funding from somewhere. Then it's not our culture to sell ourselves. So very often, someone in Brussels would come to me and say, like, you know what? I have a Latvian company in my consortium, but they perform so well, they work so well. Like, yes, they do. So somehow that's the culture not to overpromise, but rather to promise less and then to deliver more. But this limits the access to our funds. And then an example from the space sector. So in 2015, we were a European Space Agency's cooperation state. And in this, so we had the status, okay? So there were 11 cooperating states, and Latvia was the most successful one in applications, so with a huge difference from the rest. So it allowed us to upgrade our status there. So no, we can write these proposals very well, much better than others. Maybe the difference is the instrument itself, but that's for sure not the idea itself. Maybe we have to invest more into just writing to get this support, unfortunately.
Very good, thank you so much. I know you're very knowledgeable and experienced, so you can tell really good examples on how and it makes us think how we can support better. And now I turn to our last question with, of course, as always, 1 minute to answer. as we always like in the end, pointy. The world is changing fast, as we know. Europe wants key technologies closer to home, which is the STEP platform that is created. Society's needs are also shifting. So luckily, Baltics can probably solve it all. Don't we think so? We find we have lots of solutions right here. But seriously, what are your top 3 or 4 or 5 or 2 big challenges your program aims to tackle in the coming years? Because I'm sure you also have your internal KPIs or the industries that you wish you would have perfect proposals for. So name few that you would like your program to tackle in the coming years. Let's start from that side, maybe. Angelina.
Okay. So if we call the program everything we do at the ministry, so first our ministerial management and also the whole government talks about efficiency and productivity. We are looking into how the ministry could do their work more efficiently. We're analyzing our tasks that are kind of useless. Maybe we can do something better. This applies the same to, this applies also to administrative burden. So this is the national priority to make our lives easier, both at the governmental sector, public sector, and the private sector. Then changing the mindset. So our public and private sector are not two different worlds. We're sitting here, so one day I'm in the ministry, another day I'm in the private sector. So to improve this dialogue, very nice that sometimes companies already write to the ministry not to just complain, but to suggest some changes. But very important to sustain this dialogue, to still hear the feedback, whether this or that change helped. So we need to improve this dialogue. And then, of course, to make to make smarter investments, because the resources are limited. We cannot just risk with the funds because it's taxpayer money. So to think how to strategically support the industries.
Okay, thank you. Now, Gijs, what is your take on it?
Well, I think similar type of sentiments. Thought of 3 things: simplification. Things need to go more efficiently, effectively, speed, and integration. You see, of course, you have the traditional defense developments and also in other deep tech developments that just take more time. And a lot of things just need a much faster development cycle and implementation cycle. If we now look at the conflict in Ukraine, for example, we're not talking about years, weeks, sometimes even days. So things need to go faster also in development and also in our funding cycles. So those are the type of things we are working on now with restructuring the types of call we're doing. We're also seeking more integration with both the development worlds and also the industrial worlds through, for example, hackathons and other types of challenges. Finally, we are also able to integrate Ukraine to their experience to some level at this moment, so they can be included as a service provider or a knowledge provider in some of the projects that we have, where we can benefit from their experience so far. Yeah.
Thank you. That's very relevant because we also work closely with Ukrainian ecosystem and have projects together, so it's very relevant. Yeah. Stefan.
Well, we always try to make the program more agile, more simple, so easier to access, deliver the money quicker. So this process of decreasing the burden for applying and then to function within the program is, of course, always a goal. So we're always, as you know, providing new ideas on how to simplify. I think it's an important point to increase the speed and make it easier to access for companies. I think another aspect that is very relevant is that we need to think about the companies that graduate from these programs can continue their journey when they are facing challenges in order to get the next round of financing. So in the scale-up phase, I think there is a lot in Europe that is still not there. So I mean, we need to reinforce the capital markets union in order to provide the deep capital markets that the growth of these companies require. And then we need to work better, I think, with the other provider of money. I mean, we discussed how the national and the European can work better. I think this is obvious. And that will, of course, synergize and arrive at a better result together faster if we manage to put these programs to work much more in sync than they do today, where there is a lot of silos, respect, and not knowing what the other is doing, which create a lot of losses in the process.
Okay, well, thank you. The time is up, and I would like to thank all the panelists. I would like to invite the audience to use this great opportunity that Stefan, Heisbert, and also Angelina is here among us to ask and to have maximum information that is relevant to technology that you develop, that you could succeed in these instruments already with your first try tomorrow or day after tomorrow. So use this time here in person. And thank you, Sandris, for joining this this game we did. And I think through your eyes, it was easier to understand and grasp the relevance of various instruments here. So with this, I invite everybody to challenge the reality and to push your technology forward. And if you need advice on public instruments, then approach me or Leah, and we will be happy to help in your journey. Thank you very much.